Hi again, everyone. This is Liam at Strongpoint. To those of you who have just joined us, we've still got a number of people filtering in, so I'm going to take a minute while we're waiting for more people to show up, and just give you a quick background on everything Strongpoint does for those of you who might be new to Strongpoint. So this will take about a minute or two, and then we'll get into the main event, which is Ludovic Prokop is going to be taking us through cleanup. So we start on the left-hand side with Flashlight, which is really our basic entry-level tool to document NetSuite. Really powerful tool to help you see how customizations are connected and be able to instantly know if I change something, what else might be impacted anywhere in NetSuite. And it's also an exciting tool because you can install it for free right on our website, download a 2-week free trial. You can do that anytime. To move up to level 2, which is really our first enterprise tier, adds a lot of bells and whistles and some automation to Flashlight. So you can see things like change logs, which is not just useful for version control, but also to be able to see what has changed on an object in case you need to do any troubleshooting or get alerted if specific object changes. It also does a lot of cleanup, so that's most of what we'll be talking about as far as Strongpoint is concerned with NetSuite will be covered in that documentation and optimization product. Level 3, change management, really adds a lot of intelligence to the change logs you can do with, or you can get with documentation and optimization. So you can have controls about who's allowed to make what kinds of changes and capture any changes that don't follow your process to make sure they're flagged, and you can review them or roll them back if necessary. And it also has some post-deployment validation environment comparison to make sure that what you tested in Sandbox is the same as what you now have deployed to production. Being able to compare two environments is also really useful for example, regression testing before the biannual NetSuite release. And then the top tier, enterprise compliance, is mostly aimed at public companies who need to be SOX compliant. Strongpoint can essentially make you constantly ready for an ITGC audit. It also makes segregation of duties native to NetSuite and has some great compensating financial controls in case you need to capture anytime somebody, for example, raises his own expense limit or approves his own journal entry, which might be okay, but you still need to know that it's happened. So that's a quick 2-minute background in everything that Strongpoint does. We will be taking questions ongoing, probably dealing with them all towards the end of the call. But Ludovic, if you can switch to the next slide, I'll introduce exactly what we're going to talk about, cleanup specifically. So cleanup, obviously, really important tool. Really important to do in NetSuite. NetSuite's an amazing tool because you can customize it to do just about whatever you want, but then you're left managing a highly complex system. And if you're not careful, it can get bogged down, it can become slower, it can become a bit more difficult to use if there's lots of junk in there that is clogging up the system. So we do most of the heavy lifting for you to make sure that low-hanging fruit that can be easily cleaned up is identifiable. We can automatically archive saved searches. We can show what kinds of objects are not being used if you want to clean up fields or deprecate them. So it help you make NetSuite as clean, as user-friendly, and as quick as it was really meant to be, which comes right down to optimizing things like scripts so you can get the maximum performance out of your queues. So that's essentially what we're going to cover. I'll turn it over to Ludovic he's more of a NetSuite expert than I am, and he'll walk us through it for the next 20-25 minutes here.
There we go. Sorry. So the first session that we're going to go over here is cleanup related to unused customization. So it's fairly easy to access it just by going to the Strongpoint menu under cleanup and then unused customization. The first screen that you would get is the one that you see right here, giving you the opportunity to narrow down your search for unused customization, whether it's by name, type, owner, or parent. And when it comes by name, depending on if you have a naming convention, you can also use a wildcard to be able to narrow it down to exactly what you want to tackle first. Once you have narrowed down the window of unused customization that you actually want to cover, all you would have to do here is click on search and you would see the list right here. So what Strongpoint does here basically is going to automatically assign on the left a series of flags with different colors that would give you information about the complexity of the interdependencies that customization might have. So here, for example, the one that I'm looking at says investigation required, but if you scroll all the way to the bottom, you would have a little legend here that would tell you that everything that is in bold blue would be inactive owners, red complex dependencies, investigation required, save to delete, and you have all that information right here. So Strongpoint would take care of doing that automatically for you. So that way, when you get to that report, you can already have an idea of which ones are going to be easy to clean up and get rid of within your system and help improve your performance. As you look at the report right here, you'll be able to see different columns. So you can see information related to the name, the cleanup classification, but even better on the right, as you scroll to the right here, you'll be able to see the date last used. So that will give you an indication of when the last time this customization was used. And if it's a long time ago, then you already have a good clue about your project, about getting rid of it within your NetSuite environment. Once you have done that, here on the right as well, we're going to give you some more information related to the interdependencies. So here you can see if there's scripts related to this customization that you're viewing, if there's searches, a massive updates, workflows, etc. Once you get to this screen, you would get the list. Here we have a total of 27. By clicking edit here, you have the opportunity to assign cleanup status to the different customization that you would see in this list right here. And the cleanup status column is right here. Once you click right here, you would see the different labels that are available for you to be able to triage those customizations, those unused customization here for the next step. All right, so for example here, let's take this one and would say to be cleaned up, which means that I looked into the customization. I know that it's something that we're ready to get rid of. I would assign it a status. And then that way, when we get to the next screen, you will be able to see all this customization by cleanup status that has been given within that column. And this is what it's going to look like in the next screen. So just give me 1 second right here. Perfect. Here you'll be able to see all the different labels that you have assigned to these unused customization in the previous on the previous page. So here you can see the ones that are archived, deleted, to be cleaned up. So that way, once you get to this screen, you know exactly when you did your first sweep, did your little investigation, and knew exactly what you have to do. And then you can see the total on the right. So all the different labels that you see right here are actually links. Actually open and get into it and see exactly all the customization that I included under that cleanup status. Once you get into it, this is what it's going to look like. So the example that I picked here is to be cleaned up results. And here you can basically the same information that we saw in the unused customization screen, the name, the parent, the script ID, the owner. You can even add some comments here. So as you're going through your investigation or discover some information related to this customization that you want to get rid of, you can put some information here in the improvement comments right here. Same, you would have the date last used. As you scroll to the right, same as before, you'll be able to see the information if there's an active owner, if the owner has NetSuite access. On top of that, depending on your process on your side, if let's say before getting rid of an unused customization in your system, you need to get approval through a change request, which ties it up to the Strongpoint change management module. You're able to add here your change request number. And basically here you'll be able to say, okay, me getting rid of this unused customization here is tied up to an approval that comes from the change request that you would have documented right here. So fairly easy here. Once you have your different categories, you've done the first sweep through the unused customization screen. You can see there, for example, to be cleaned up, you know, like let's say you have a little someone from your team that would do the first sweep. Once you get here, you know that all the ones appearing on this screen right here are ready to be cleaned up. Once again, you can see as well on the left, the little color-coded flags that are available as well. Here, green, save to delete, which means that it don't have any interdependency at this time. The next thing that you'll be able to do when it comes to cleanup using Strongpoint is to take a look at this report right here. So this one is pretty useful. It would show you all the customization that do not have an active owner. So this one can be used, for example, if people, let's say, have left the company, or you want to see exactly the customization, or some of them you want to track or use them into reports, or let's say if you have an error coming from a customization that does not have an active owner, you want to make sure that you have someone active from your company that is put against those customization. Once again, here you would have access to information such as the actual name, the custom record field, and all this information right here. From the filters here, you can see that depending on how many of them you have, here you have 656. You can do it by owner, original owner, or by type if you want to prioritize your cleanup when it comes to these active owners. Another report that would be very useful to you as well is the default ID. So in this one, you'll be able to see all the customization that have been created with the default ID within your system. This one can be very useful. Let's say if let's say you are in your environment and maybe you were doing some testing and you have those customization that were created with default ID. You can see these ones, or you can just be aware if you have a naming convention or anything like that, see exactly which ones right now you have in your system that still have a default ID. Once again, you will see information related to these comments right here. Same again, including the script ID, the parent. And if you want to go to the actual NetSuite record, you would have a link right here that would take you straight to that. So this one would be for the default ID. The next thing that you want to take a look at as well is a report that is actually been very useful and very popular amongst our NetSuite administrator is the update field description and help. So basically, it can happen a lot of times when you get caught up working on, let's say, getting your system going or go live or just working on a project that you want to make sure that everything works. And you might not go back to make sure that you populate the description or the help. Here through this screen, Strongpoint is going to give you the opportunity to update it in line directly here, and you'll be able to type in exactly the information. And once you click update right here, it's going to update it for you on the NetSuite side. So that way you don't have to toggle between two different screens to be able to update it. Strongpoint will take care of that for you and be able to update it. If I want to draw your attention here at the top to some of the filters available, so if you have a lot of them, you can do it by name convention. Again, you have a name frame, the script ID, but also by type. You would see that here we'll show you the list of a very decent amount of them, but you can also just check this box here and it would show you just the ones that would have one or the other empty, so that way you can just tackle the ones that are lacking information right here. So once again, this one has been very popular and I think this one would be very useful. So this part covers everything related to cleanup, related to unused customization, and those different reports that I just showed you. The next portion that we're going to spend some time on is the automated search cleanup. Very popular as well. What happened with searches in your system? It can happen that most of the time people would create searches or edit them or copy them, but will rarely go back to actually get rid of them. So what Strongpoint has developed is basically a tool here that would give you the opportunity to get rid of these unused searches. So the form is very easy. The way it would work is you would set up a rule, same as it says right here. You would name it right after the goal that you're trying to achieve with this cleanup right here. Depending on the people that you want to share this rule with, you can actually select them in the rule owner section right here. In the description, you want to put as much information as possible of what you're trying to achieve, especially if you're adding other rule owners so they know exactly what this rule is going to cover. What Strongpoint is going to do as well that is pretty amazing is take over the whole portion instead of you as a NetSuite administrator trying to go to owner or users of searches to ask if it's okay to get rid of them. Strongpoint would take that whole portion here and notify these people by email. So here you can select if you want to notify the owner, the users, but it would also cover the scenario for inactive owners right here. So for inactive owners, basically the notification, that email is going to go to the supervisor. And that way, in the email that they're going to be receiving, they would have the list of the different searches that are ready to be cleaned up. Within that email, whether it's the owner, the user, or the supervisor, we have the opportunity to preview the search so they can have a little bit of an idea exactly of what it is before it's being cleaned up, but also to retain it. So retaining means that if you see an email coming to you saying important notice, search is about to be cleaned up, you'll be able to say, well, actually this one, I don't want it to be cleaned up, I want to keep it. You're just gonna have to click on retain link and you'll be able to keep those and they would be excluded from the cleanup round that you'll be going through. All right. Also, for NetSuite administrators, it can happen sometimes that you know exactly what you want to clean up by using the different criteria that we're going to go over in a few minutes. But you can just uncheck all the different boxes that you would have right here and say, I don't need to notify anybody. And I just want to clean up the searches that would be included into this one. So you can just do it that way. And then those searches would be cleaned up right away. On the right here, you'll be able to see, as we select the different filters that we're going to go over in a minute, the filter summary. So as you'll be selecting them, this will be updated. At the bottom here, Strongpoint is going to make sure that you don't break anything by cleaning up searches within your system. So a significant amount of searches are not going to be included into the cleanup, which include, for example, searches for managed bundles, searches with script deployment dependencies, workflow dependencies, role dependencies, group dependencies. These ones would be automatically excluded to make sure that we don't break anything during that cleanup. So that scenario is taken care of. At the bottom here, you'll be able to decide the schedule at which you want that cleanup to happen if you end up selecting the automate portion, the automate option for that cleanup to be recurrent. So one good scenario for a recurrent cleanup for those searches is for inactive owners. So let's say here, you'd say, well, every year I want to get rid of all the searches from inactive owners in the system that have not been used. So you'll be able to select these like weekly, monthly, yearly events right here. At the bottom here, you would have your basic filters. So once again, you can do it by name, script ID. When it comes by name, if you have a naming convention for searches and you want to narrow down directly to those searches that you want to get cleaned up, you can actually use a wild card. On the right here, default, we will be excluding private searches, scheduled searches, searches that send triggered emails, and these are the two options right here. So usually, as you start, you kind of want to get yourself up and not start maybe too crazy with the cleanup. And then as you get more comfortable, maybe you want to include private searches as well to be cleaned up. Here, this one, this is where you'll be selecting the time frame for the unused searches that you have. So basically month since date last used, retained, restored. For the sake of the example right here, just because this is a demo account, I'll put 1 month for us to be able to have some results. At the bottom as well, you would have some advanced filters. So you can also actually select an owner and get rid of their searches or select multiple ones. Or here, if you want to do the opposite and be a bit quicker, you can exclude owners. You can also do it by departments. And here, you would have the option for inactive owners. And you can select all of them if need be. Once you have done that, selecting the different filters that you have in this role right here, you have the opportunity to click on preview. So this is great because as a NetSuite administrator, you just don't want everything to go right away. You would have the opportunity to do a quick sweep and make sure that everything that you're going to send for cleanup, especially if there's a notification activated here by checking one of these boxes, has been already kind of be taken a look by yourself. So once you click on preview, this is what you're going to get. So at the top, we're going to give you a little summary of what we found. So here you would see the number of searches to clean up, 16, the number of search owners, search users, and supervisors. Here we show you again the filters that you use in your rule. And then here, if you had selected notification, you will know exactly what options you have, yes, 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 and you had uncheck the box, you will see no. At the bottom here, you would see the results coming from the automated search cleanup rule that we are previewing right now. So here you have a decent amount of information as a NetSuite administrator to be able to do a quick sweep before you actually start and run that automated search cleanup. So you can see the name, you can see the ID, you can see the owner. What's great, you can see the date created, but also the date last used. So it can happen a lot of times that sometimes the searches are being created and that it hasn't been used, but at least you have, for example, here we have 2014 dates. We could say that it's safe to get rid of those searches, especially since the last time they were used was in 2014. Then after that, you can also see the employees using the search and you will see their name right here. So as an admin here, you can already do a quick sweep from the results that you get here, and then on the left, you would have two different columns. Include, which means that they would be part of this cleanup round. Retain, here, if you check on it, which means that this search is not going to be a part of it, and it would remain within your system. So you can do that before you actually start the whole cleanup process. At the bottom here, as I was telling you from the previous screen, you have two options when it comes to the Automated Search Cleanup tool. You can either automate it, and then you would have the opportunity to select the schedule. You had weekly, monthly, yearly. Or you can do run now, which would be just ad hoc, and you would run just once. So as you get more familiar or you select, you can create multiple rules. Here you'll be able to select if you want them to be automated or not. Once you have actually selected one of these options right here, you will be able to basically, as an admin, see exactly what happens during this automated search cleanup process. So some of the reports that will be useful for you to know exactly what happens are the ones that you have right here. So the first one, you'll be able to see your search cleanup status. So you would see the date at which you have created the rule. The option you had selected was run now. You would see the admin that was related to it, and you would see the different options. As you click on the view button right here, you'll be able to see here exactly what is happening with that rule that you have created. So some good information that you can take a look at right here is the little overview, how many of them are included within this round from this rule. You can see the searches to archive, the searches to retain. So when people have clicked on that link in the email saying retain, you'll be able to see them right here. At the bottom, you'll be able to see the notifications. So the way the Automated Search Cleanup tool is going to work is once you start it, the user, the owner, or the supervisor are going to get a first notification, letting them know that searches are about to be cleaned up, and you would have the list. The second step is they will be getting a second notification to let them know that the searches are about to be archived, the date at which they will be archived, and that gives them another second chance to retain the searches. If they disregard them, then the searches are going to be gone from your NetSuite environment, but still stored on the Strongpoint site. So here you're able to see the name and the recipient email addresses for those notifications, and you can see as well the date sent. All right, and then you can see here the notification type, if it's the first notification or the final one. So as I was saying, the first notification and then the notification saying that you're about to be archived, including the date. So you can see all that information right here, which can be very useful as an admin, especially if you know you're getting close to searches being archived. You can take a look and see exactly which ones would be impacted. Something very important as well that I want to say when it comes to those searches being gone from your NetSuite environment is the searches are not going to be gone. You would always have the opportunity to restore them. So another report they'll be able to use is the Strongpoint archived searches. So here would be all the searches that went through the automated search cleanup process. And you have the list, you would see their name, the overview, archive by, and you would see next to each of them, you would have a little restore button that would allow you to restore the searches. On top of that, this is one of the ways to restore them, but by using the Strongpoint customization in pack search form and accessing the Strongpoint customization record, you would also have under the cleanup tab the opportunity to restore the searches as well. So nothing is gone, it's all safe, people will be notified. What is great about this tool is, as an admin, it's very easy to gain some points, increase the performance of your system, and unclog all the searches that are not being used within your system. So if you create overarching rules, you'll be able to say, oh, this is how much we have cleaned up, but also you'll be able to identify the searches, for example, like that are being created by people, but also sometimes it can happen maybe that you have searching for presidents, and when we're looking at the preview, you might want to exclude those if you don't want searches to be cleaned up. So this would be covering the Strongpoint automated search cleanup portion. There's also other reports available. So on the Strongpoint automated search cleanup, so we looked at the archived one, we looked at the search cleanup status, but you will be able to see the retained searches, or the searches to be archived. So searches to be archived would be all the searches that have already been sent. So all the users that have received a final notification for these and letting them know at what date those searches are going to be archived. So we went over all the different functionalities related to cleanup right here. Maybe people have some questions. Liam, are you still here? Is there anything else that you would like to add? I see that we had a lot of notification coming up here in the chat.
Yes, like most of the questions I've been able to answer over chat, but one question from Yash also I think you should speak to. So he asked if we track logs that NetSuite doesn't, and I know the short answer is yes, but then in a specific case, he wanted to know, for example, if on a purchase order, NetSuite will tell you the amount changed, but it doesn't always show you which items were removed or added, and if the quantities were removed or added. And I know we can always help with metadata changes, so changes to an attribute from a field, but I'm not sure if we're able to also help with the values in a field. So maybe you can help with that one, Ludo.
So was that related to the unused customization, or is it just a general question?
General questions about what kind of change logs we keep track of.
Well, basically, we track everything at the customization level. So every time a change would be happening to a customization, we would have a change log showing the old value versus a new value and exactly what would change. And you would see that under the Strongpoint customization record, like you said with the metadata, for each change that's happened from the creation of the change log after the spider, each change log would be reporting what change has been made.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Hi, and sorry,
just
to add to that a little bit. So I think the question that came up in the chat was about purchase orders, and the answer to that would be captured with our agent module. The agent control module, or the automated auditing of the master data in this case, or transactional data, we can track anything in this case that is retrievable by a NetSuite saved search. So I can't tell you off the top of my head if your case is applicable in that one for if the amount is changed on the purchase order, what items were removed or deleted. We would have to test that from an agent perspective, but again, if it's retrievable by a saved search, we can definitely help you with that.
And maybe we'll follow up with you offline afterwards, yeah. So thank you for the questions, everyone. There's nothing else outstanding that we haven't been able to address yet so far. You've got a couple more minutes if you still want to type one in, but that's the end of our webinar for today. We will be sending out a recording if you want to share this with anyone else, or if one of your colleagues perhaps couldn't make it. So we'll probably get that over to you by tomorrow. So thanks very much for joining, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you.